Hello folks and welcome. I'm going to be talking about Terminal today, something that a lot of people shy away from. This is made for new users. I'm going to be doing several of these for other distributions also, using, well, simple terminal commands and having fun at the same time. So I'm going to show you a couple of fun commands. If you are wanting to take a guess at somebody's, you're trying to pinpoint the day of the week they were born on. For instance, you know the year and the month, but you want to be able to have some fun with your friends and family by telling them what day of the week, like a Monday or a Friday or whatever. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm also going to show you how to install an application using Terminal. Simple commands. So welcome folks, LM21.1 Cinnamon. None of my videos are less than 2 minutes. They all have timelines and chapters, and I encourage that you read my About section and also go take a look at my community tab if you're not too sure how to do keyword searches on my 100+ videos. In either case, folks, one more time, welcome. So I'm going to close this box and open up this one. So Terminal, it's a box that a lot of people are brand new to Linux shy away from. Actually, I'm going to try to get you a little bit comfortable with it. So I have something turned on. First of all, you can also resize the size of the box itself and also change the font to something, well, bigger if you like. I'm using Monospace 14 today. If you are watching this video on a mobile device, it will look very tiny to you. I really recommend that you watch my videos on something bigger than a mobile device, largest screen possible for you. If you have absolutely no option, or if you just want to change the video resolution, this is 4K today, is look for that gearbox on your player and change it appropriately. Now I'm going to continue. So I'm going to punch up a really silly command. Who am I? Basically, who are you logged in as is what that means. Well, Bob. Bob is our user for today. Now, how do you read this green line that is sitting here with a flashing dollar sign on it? Well, Bob is our user at, and the name of the computer is tmin21 in my case. And then the dollar sign is just waiting for me to do a command. Okay, so that's the who am I. So if you open up his file manager, again, Bob is just a made-up name. This will be Bob's file manager for Nemo. I'm also going to show you a command in here a little bit later. You can open up this file manager in root mode right through Terminal. I'm also going to show you all the commands that I'm going to be punching in today are contained in a file which you cannot see in here. But I'll show you how to display that also. But I do recommend that you watch the video in its entirety. Alright, so let's punch up cal. It's a simple calendar command. And everybody's going, well, whoop-de-doo. You got one sitting right in front of us. You got one down here. Yes, but this one can do a little bit something special. So I can start with cal and then put a space. And I can either use the numbers 1 through 12 for January through December, or type in the first 3 digits. Example would be January or 1. Then I put in a space and a year, 1965. I have a friend born January of 1965. My friend born January 1965 was born on the 12th. He or she was born on a Tuesday. I'm going to use the upper arrow key on my keyboard to repeat that last command. Or I could type the whole thing all over again if I want to. Now I'm going to use the backspace key and get rid of that 1 and type in JAN this time and put in a different year. 1987. I have another friend born January of 1987, and that friend was born on the 14th. He or she was born on Wednesday. Now I'm going to punch up a year in history. I'll pick something silly which I've done in the past, and I'm going to put in cal. I'm going to put in 7 for the number of the month, or do you want me to put in JUL for July? I'll leave 7, and then I'll put 1776. A lot of you folks that are not from the United States may not know this, but July 4th, 1776 is Independence Day in the United States. And that day in July 1776, the 4th fell in on a Thursday. You can punch up any year you want. So if you want to do like something like that, like May 1642, there's the calendar from May 1642. If you're looking for stuff, dates in history, and you wanted to know what day of the week they fell on. So if you're looking for something like May 11th, 1642, it was a Wednesday. That's what I'm getting at. As far as the birthdays are concerned, though, you can have all kinds of fun with your friends and family on that one. These are just silly, simple commands using the calendar statement. Now here's another one that can be addictive, but I'm going to punch up clear first. That one's called Fortune. If you don't have it installed, it'll tell you that you have that not installed. If you do have it installed, it starts giving you all kinds of little stuff. You like that one, bank error in your favor, collect $200. I'm going to hit the same thing, Fortune again, and I have a different one. And a different one. And a different one. I could be here all day. So what if you don't have something installed? All right, let's do that. So maybe you don't know what Top is, but Top is installed on every Linux distribution. It's a process monitor. Okay. And there's also Htop. So I'm going to hit quit for a second. Walk over to my software manager and I'm going to put in Htop just to let you see where you can find it in here. But I'm going to actually use Terminal to install it. So Htop is sitting here and you can see it says install on it, right? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to punch up clear in my terminal box just to clear the screen and type Htop. And it says it can't find it because it's not installed, that's why. However, it gives me the clue how to install it. And so I'm going to pause here for a second and just make a statement. Do not copy and paste everything off the internet in this terminal box. You will be asking for it. Make sure that if you are typing in commands off the internet into this terminal box, that they are valid commands, not only, and you're sure you know what they do, and from a reputable place. Because copying commands off the internet and pasting them in your terminal box is dangerous. They can destroy your system depending on what kind of command it is. Any command that you're looking for on the internet that has the words RM on it, be very careful. Those are usually remove commands. But this command is coming from internally, my internal system. So right here it's telling me how to install Htop right off the bat. Okay, so that's nice of these folks that they decided to help you out a little bit. So what does sudo apt install Htop mean? Well, sudo means super user do. It gives me elevated privileges to do something. Sudo space apt space install is the installation command in Linux meant to install something out of terminal. Htop happens to be the application or program. So I could type this word in just like it is on that last line in white. Sudo apt install. Make sure you have your spaces set correctly. Or you could type the whole line because you're copying not off the internet, you're copying it here from your terminal box. And I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to right click and copy that. Then I'm going to click in here and right click and paste it instead of typing it. Now, the first time you ever put in sudo on a new opened terminal box, what I mean by that is if you close this box and reopen that and punch in sudo, it'll ask you for that password every time. But once you put in your sudo password on the first sudo command, if you don't close this and do another sudo command, it's not going to ask you for that password. That's what I'm getting at. Only on the first one. Now I'm going to put in my password for Bob. What if I put in gibberish? Well, it's going to have a problem with you. It's going to tell you, sorry, try again. Now it takes off and installs. And when it finishes, you get a $sign. You don't even know if it's installed. So let's open up Software Manager and look for Htop. And now you see a green check mark. That means it's installed. Okay. How do you run it? Well, Htop. It's as simple as that. And it looks just like that. Very similar to Top, except it has more bells and whistles. Showing me that the thing that's consuming most of my stuff is Simple Screen Recorder, which is true, because that's what I'm using to record this video. Now, how do I stop this? I hit Q, go back to my dollar prompt. Now I'm going to punch up clear. Let's talk about a couple of things. You may have seen some of my videos, maybe are to medium to advanced, using Rsync. Rsync is called remote sync. You also may be aware how to do an ls, which is list your directories or folders. Linux calls them directories. You can call them folders, like your documents, for instance. They're in blue. Downloads, documents, music, that kind of thing. Okay. You can also put in man for manual pages to look for a lot of commands. Not every single command is in there, but a lot of them are. Man stands for manual pages. It's like a manual. So I want to put in man ls. And it's going to say, okay, so this is list directory contents and some options. Q to quit. Okay, so if I do a man rsync, it's going to explain what Rsync is. It's a fast, versatile, remote, and local file copying tool. You may have seen some of my videos on Rsync. And by the way, I did 7 or 8 of them. Just because you saw it for one distribution doesn't mean it's the same on all of them, because there's slight, subtle differences. All right, with that said, you probably are already using Rsync. Are you using TimeShift? Did you install TimeShift when you installed your Linux Mint? The chances are it's pretty high you did. So let me open up my TimeShift. You went through a wizard that asked you a question. The first question that it asked you is, you're going to be using Rsync, and asked you to hit next. That's what that is. So you are more likely already using Rsync. If you have something already backed up on your system files, you're using Rsync. All right, but this gives you a quick synopsis of what Rsync is. It's man pages. I don't want to fully explain that word, because even on my other videos, I encourage that you look this up yourself on the internet. But I wanted to let you see what the man does. Manual pages. Okay, so I could also do man for cal, for that calendar thing. Okay, on some system it's called ncal. All right, quit. So you see ls. I can also change into those folders by hitting cd, change directory. And if I put in the lowercase documents, it will fail because it doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. Linux is literal, so it has to be spelled with the uppercase. So cd, d, o, c. I'm going to stop here for a second. Okay, there are 3 of these that have DES, DEC, DEW. In other words, they all start with a D. So the reason I'm putting doc in here is because I wanted the line statement to basically do the typing for me by hitting the tab key now. Now it punched in the rest of the keys, and all I have to do is hit enter. Now I'm in documents, and I'm going to do another ls. All right, so you see stuff in blue and you see stuff in white. Let me open up the file manager and just give you a quick 411 on this. So we're going to open this document. This is Bob's documents, the same thing you're looking at right here. You see script stuff in quotes. That's script stuff right there. And then you see test 1, 2, 3, 4. That's this folder right here, or directory as Linux calls it. Then you see stuff in white, like a.txt. Well, that's this one. The creation of 1,000 blah 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 ODT. Well, that's this one. This CD blah 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 is this one right here. It's a PDF. It even says so. This test doc 12623 is this one right here. You get the idea so far? The stuff is in white are files. The stuff is in blue is in folders, or directories as Linux calls them. All right, so far so good, I hope. How do I get back to my dollar prompt all the way back to the beginning? CD. Okay, that's as simple as that. You can also do this. So I'm going to do another ls. Since my music folder is the only one that starts with M, I can just do CD, uppercase M, and hit the tab key. And I'm done. Besides hitting enter. Because that's the only thing that starts with a big M. Now if I were to do it the other way, which is CD lowercase m and the tab key, nothing happens. I'm hitting the tab. It's just sitting there. Nice, fat, and happy. Uppercase M and the tab key finishes the statement for me. And why is that? It's because that's the only one that started with M. Now you see pictures in public has, so if I were to do, let's go back and I'll just do another ls. And you'll see that this has pictures in public. So if I do CDP and hit the tab key, nothing happens. Because it doesn't have enough information to guess. So if I put in an I and then the tab key, it says, he wants pictures, or she. He or she wants pictures. Because this one started with a U on the next letter, the PU. PU, yeah, anyways. You get the idea, hopefully. Where are all these commands stored? Well, they're stored in a history buffer, believe it or not. I'm going to punch up clear and punch up history. These are all the commands that I've just performed in front of you, okay, including those dates. And it has some additional ones too. Like I can borrow this one too. If I don't want to type it out myself, I can copy it. It's coming from my history buffer. It's not coming from the internet. So NeoFetch you may have seen me used on many videos. Not only Linux Mint, but others. Okay. Now where is this history buffer located? This right here. It's actually located in your file manager. So Bob, as in this case, has some hidden files. You can hit Control H also and activate those. Born again shell history, bash history. That's what bash stands for. These are all the commands that were in there currently, earlier. Hasn't been updated yet. So let me close this box and reopen that. Now they're filled with a bunch of commands. Because I didn't close that box earlier, so once I close it, it saves the history to this file. Does that make sense so far? Okay. All the commands are in here that I've performed, including the last one, which says history. So let me close this again. So there's a lot of things you can do with your terminal box, including open up your file manager, Nemo, in root mode. So if I were to type in Nemo here, it just opens up my file manager. If I do sudo, okay, you're going to get weird stuff like that too, by the way. If you do sudo Nemo, you're going to be asked for a password. And then it's going to open this up in root mode. Be extremely careful with this, folks. Okay. Elevated privilege modes should only be done with people that are experienced enough to know what they're doing when they're manipulating their files. But that's what elevated privileges means. This is still your file manager, Nemo. You can also open up your file manager this way, in root mode. I'm just eliminating the hidden files. Okay, it's the same thing. You'll get a red bar, in my case, going across there after I put in the correct password. Bad passwords give you that. Good password, you get a red box going across here. Red line. That means you're in elevated privilege modes. And you can damage your file system if you're not too sure how to do stuff. Okay, but I wanted to let you see you can open up your file manager in both those modes in Terminal, depending on which command you used. So I used, on 39, I used the regular word Nemo. That means it opens it up in non-privileged mode. And then pseudonemo means that it opens it in root mode. The dangerous mode, in other words. All right, so that's my history buffer. So you can use any of these commands. Now, you can also, just remember the ls, sorry, let me punch up clear first. So the ls command, for instance, not only can list this kind of stuff, but you can also do ls PCI to list your PCI bus. You can also use ls CPU for your central processing unit. I have to scroll up to let you see it. So the ls CPU gives me a description of my processor. In this case, today I'm using an AMD Ryzen 9 on this machine. And I'm going to hit Q and go to the bottom of the screen. And I'm going to put in what didn't I use for ls? I did ls USB. I have ls PCI. Just some examples. And ls CPU. Just giving you 3 examples of that. Okay. Now again, that's an ls command. Normally under default conditions, this would be listing your home folders. Or if you put in ls space -a, there's your hidden stuff. There's bash history right there. Born again shell history. You know, the history of those commands that I showed earlier? All right. So whether you're using simple stuff like this, and on some system you have to install NeoFetch, and on some systems you don't. And a lot of people also find this one useful, but here's another one for you. You may have seen some of this on my previous channel quite often. I used to use this quite often. The inxi, if it is not installed on your system, you will be asked to install it. But the -big FXZ doesn't show personal information. But it is a list of stuff that is on my machine currently. It tells me the kernel number I'm using. It tells me the desktop. Tells me the distribution. Tells me the base packages. It even gives me the model number of my CPU, model number of my motherboard. Okay. It gives me information about my processor, my graphics card. Now you can see what I'm using on this machine. Okay. And it even tells me what driver I'm using and what resolution I'm running. Network devices, you can tell this one uses a Wi-Fi 6. Bluetooth information, and all my other internal hard drives. You can now see that I have not only one NVMe, but I have 2. 2 different model numbers, as a matter of fact, 2 different vendors. And I also have some other solid state drives also in here, and a standard spinning drive. And some other information. Just from that one little silly little command. That one right there. Now I'm going to punch up Q or clear. Now I'm going to use the upper arrow key on my keyboard, just to repeatedly hitting it. These are all the different commands that I've just performed for it in front of you. Okay. And again, what was that again? Your file manager is Nemo. Alt F4 closes that box. Alt F4 also closes this box. You can use this in the corner. You can also type in exit. It'll do the same function. There's a lot of things you can do with your terminal boxes. And a lot of people will go, well, a lot of this stuff I probably won't be doing. But you know what? As you grow with Linux, you will probably appreciate this box because it can do a lot for you. And can also be a damaging tool if you don't know how to use it. But more importantly, my suggestion is become familiar with it at least. Become familiar with it. You know, there's a lot of things that I use Terminal for. I use it to perform a lot of different types of things. Usually when I set up distributions in a hurry, when I'm doing videos, I use Terminal a lot to install like simple screen recorder right through Terminal instead of using any kind of software manager, because I can do it faster. I'm just giving you some examples today. But at least have fun with either this command here or this one here, just to have some fun. So, I'm sorry. It also helps if you spell them correctly. So as you can see, it went on. I don't know what that command means, but I needed to actually type in the correct command. So, and anytime you punch in fortune, if it's installed, you just hit the upper arrow key and you keep getting different random stuff. There's something by Mark Twain. Here's another one by Mark Twain. That's unusual, but there's 2 in a row. You get where I'm going with this, I hope? All right. Okay, that's not nice. And anyways, now I'm going to punch up exit and say thank you for watching, folks, and take care.